So the policy behind this ORM architecture is to remove as much code as possible from the controller layer and move it into an object layer. So this is usually what your controller looks like. You have methods on the controller, scope.save. You actually subscribe to events. You distribute and manage collections, like you query data, you update data, you push data back out. But all that code's done in the controller. So this is models on crack. This is CoffeeScript, the class syntax you can see right here. This is just simple CoffeeScript. It just creates a function, messes with its prototypes. But you can wrap it in a factory. You can wrap, obviously, any code in a factory. The reason I used a factory, not a service, is because a factory really doesn't mess with my objects. It just kind of leaves them intact. So I can define my classes, wrap them in factories, and now I have a base object, which is a simple class, and I can create a person object. And the person object extends the base object, but I can use Angular's dependency injection wrapped around my CoffeeScript to inject the different classes I've been defining throughout my app. If we use a socket stream, or if we use a bacon stream, the stream is just literally an asynchronous callback hook, something like that. It's literally broadcast and emit in Angular, just supercharged. So instead of just doing broadcast and emit, which is an atomic event, it happens pretty much across your entire app, and the only thing I recommend using it for is somebody logged in, somebody logged out, and not much else. Bacon events are, you have the streams, objects, you can pass them around, but you can filter off of them. So you can kind of shave off a bunch of the events that you don't care about, and you can combine events, and you can have multiple people listen to an event on the same stream. But in here, the objects listen and keep themselves up to date. So the project object will listen specifically for an event from the socket where you have a type property called update, and the event is pertaining to this specific object, and I already know that this stream is filtered by the ID, so I can just update myself. And all my objects, the individual instances, not just the classes, are subscribed to events to keep themselves up to date and to keep their children up to date, if so need be. So if a new pet comes in, this project or person spins up a new instance of the pet that just was created. So somebody else can create a pet, and it instantly shows up on my screen, and I've got a new instance in memory, and my collection's been up to date, and it'll just pop up because I already took my person and threw it on the scope. The ORM is like, actually ties into different parts of the application. It's not just the model layer. It also allowed me to break down the view layer and the controller layer. So if you check out UI Router, and the reason why I bring it up is because the UI Router lets me break down my application to mirror the object relationships. So one other thing we did that this is, I don't think is in the normal router, it's on enter and on exit. I'm not sure how many people use this, but it's a little event that's fired. And the cool thing is in our application, say I've got a person, he may get hundreds more events than simply CRUD, simply keeping himself up to date. These might be special, unique events that the person can do. And when I'm not looking at the person, I don't want to be performing a lot of logic or even checks on this person when he's hidden in the background. I only want to do it to the guy I currently have on the screen, on the view layer. So I created a simple base object method called open, which subscribes all the special custom events. And I have base object.close, which unsubscribes all these events. And the state manager, this isn't even in my controller. This is just defining a state. We'll open the object, subscribe all the events, and then when I leave this state, I don't even have to put it on the enter of another state. It's literally this route, this state definition, keeps track of its own responsibilities. So I can package all these things together, and using UI Router, I can even package routes into this module, and I can rip out this module and plug it in on somebody else's application. Or I can have an edit module, which can be plugged in and attached to the user module or the animal module.